Hey everyone, Crystal here with today's thought of the day. And today's thought of the day is learn to sit with your shadow. And I'm going to tell you now, this might be a little bit of a longer video because we're going to dig into this for a little bit. But I feel like sit with your shadow, embrace your shadow, bring your shadow to the light. I feel like these phrases get thrown around, but there's not a whole lot of instruction on them. And so today I hope to bring maybe a little bit of clarity of what that means, at least for me, and how I learn to sit with my shadow and be with my shadow. And so first off, I want to define what I see the shadow as being. And to me, my shadow self are those pieces of me that I might have shame around, I might not want to deal with, that might be a lot of anger, anxiety, grief, whatever emotion it is that you really don't want to sit with. I see that as being part of my shadow self. And so learning to sit with my shadow self meant that I had to learn how to be with those emotions, to be with those situations, to allow the feelings from whatever situation I don't want to deal with to actually move through my body. And so one of my big pieces was a traumatic experience that I lived through that brought up a lot of grief. It brought up a lot of sadness. It brought up a lot of anger and a lot of grief. And so I had to learn to slow down and actually sit with those feelings. I had to allow myself to truly feel those emotions, that grief, that anger, that frustration, and that sadness. And guys, let me tell you, it doesn't feel good. Honestly, it feels a lot like depression. It feels a lot like the sun's never going to shine again, and I wonder if I'm ever going to feel happy. But I trusted the process. And I sat with those emotions, and I sat with the grief and asked it what it needed. I sat with the sadness and asked it what it needed. I sat with the frustration and the anger and asked what it needed. And guys, all it needed was someone to sit with it. All it needed was those moments to allow to be felt. I almost created this image in my head of personifying this anger, this frustration, this grief, almost like a monster hiding in the closet, ashamed to come out. When really it just needed a friend. It just needed someone to come sit with it for a little bit, to be with it, to hug it, to love it, to let it know that it's okay to feel all of those things. And so that, my friends, is how I learned to work with my shadow, is to go sit with it, to befriend the emotions that I don't want to feel, and to just allow them to move through my body, and to trust that it's not going to last forever. And once I allowed that trust to come in, once I allowed those emotions to begin to move through, guess what? It stopped feeling so heavy. It stopped feeling so dark. It stopped being as if the end of the world was here. I actually started to come to the light. And so all of this to say, learn to sit with your shadow, because once we learn to sit with the shadow, we can actually start to bring it to the light. And what that means is that we allow it to integrate within ourselves. We allow these emotions to live with us instead of being shunned and not part of who we are. So long-winded way to say learn to sit with your shadow. I hope that resonates with someone. I hope that helps them. If you have any questions about this or want to dive a little deeper, my inbox is open. Please feel free to send me a message anytime. I love talking about this stuff. And with all of that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you guys so much for being here. Take care. Bye.